So we go into this area of intense spirituality, of mystical experience. It's the experience, at least from my perspective, my own experience and wide reading on the topic, and speaking to many, many people, is that experience that there is another world. That world is deeper, more foundational, more true. And once you experience that world, you know you've come in contact with the truth. Now, I think many religious systems, spiritual systems, define this differently. Undoubtedly, our experience of that realm is shaped by our own language, our own culture, our own religion. So, for example, if you grew up in America without any other religious affiliation, I remember a cousin of mine once, non-practicing Jewish, came to me. She said, "I think I'm Christian." And I said, "Why do you think you're Christian?" She said, "Well, I had this really deep mystical experience, and I met Jesus." And I said, "Well, who else would you meet?" Meaning, if that's all the religion you know is what you picked up on Jesus from culture, that's of course whom you're going to meet. Now, there's a wonderful saying in Buddhism that says, if you meet the Buddha on the road, slay him. You remember that book? If you meet the Buddha on the road, slay him, because once you congeal mystical knowledge into a specific dogma, it's going to lead you astray. This is that thought. Now, most evangelical, orthodox, dogmatic people are not going to like the idea that dogma gets in the way of the truth. But this is a very deeply Buddhist idea, that the path to the truth is filled with many, many distractions. By the way, it's also a deeply Kabbalistic idea. The Kabbalah says that around midnight, human souls float up to take a seat at the great yeshiva in the higher worlds. But depending on your inner state, there will be many, many deceptions along the way. So as your soul is floating up, it's going to see many, many alluring, attractive spiritual paths, but each of them is false. And they come to you because they're reflections of one's own spiritual immaturity or impurity. So the question is, as your soul is journeying, how can you avoid the distractions that present themselves as being utterly true? From a Kabbalistic perspective, it needs intense training in order to be able to not fall into the allure of the spiritual distractions and rather stay on the path toward truth. So every culture, every religion, every language system is going to talk about this differently. And if you are only exposed to one or the other, it's likely that a mystical spiritual experience will be mediated by that language, but not always. Sometimes people have very profound mystical spiritual experiences that are completely other than what they're used to. So I'm not saying this is a law, I'm saying it's a likelihood. So when the mystic arrives at that level and you discover this ground of being, there's a few things on the way back. I mentioned them at the Kabbalah class. I'll mention it again here. Something I've said many times. Usually on the way back, at least I've experienced 3 mandates. The first mandate is, I want to go back. I have to go back. That's the first. The second is, I need to map it out. And the third is, I need to teach others. So in the desire to go back, in all 3 of them, in fact, there's a temptation of what in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition is called spiritual materialism. So I want to talk about that for a moment. So a few people studied with Rinpoche up in Boulder and know the book very well. From what I've heard, he's a flawed character, but he wrote a good book. So we're not going to say the book is less true because a flawed man wrote the book. In any case, there are 3 versions of spiritual materialism, and you discover it when you pierce the veil into that mystical realm. The first one is the deep attachment to the material ego state. So in our current state, let's say ego consciousness, things in this realm, disappointments, losses, not having ego fulfillment in many areas of our life, cut to the core of our being, and therefore our souls are oftentimes crushed by disappointments that perhaps when you look back, if you have the good fortune to live a few decades, you look back and you say to yourself, I can't believe I got so wrapped up in that. I can't believe I got so fixated in it. Any of us who have children in their teens, 20s, and so forth, and the things that hurt them deeply, that take away their sense of well-being, we might be able to say to them, you know, when you get to your 50s, 60s, 70s, it's going to look different. Oftentimes, they just can't hear it because they are so attached to a given reality. So part of the first version of spiritual materialism is learning how to distance the inner core of your soul to what I'll call the life of ego. Now,
Sim, shalom, sim, shalom, sim, shalom, tova uveracha. Sim, shalom, sim, shalom, sim, shalom, tova uveracha. Ay, 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 ay.